Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rafila Ramahlodin Ndlovu and I'm the host of the Village Conversations podcast. This platform and this channel right here is aimed at encouraging and inspiring you on a weekly basis through the content that I share here on these platforms. The Village Conversation is a space where you will get empowered through either listening to the conversations online, the podcast conversations online, or through this YouTube channel. I hope you do enjoy this content, and if you're new here, welcome, a warm welcome. Do remember to subscribe, like, and share this content with your family and friends. We all need a foothold of inspiration every now and again. So if something has inspired you, please do go ahead and share it. Also, don't forget to connect with me on my social media platforms, which I've listed in the description box below. Thank you for joining me. So today this week's reading comes from Jeremiah 17 verse 9. It reads as follows: Who can understand the human heart? There's nothing so deceitful. It is too sick to be healed. Ouch! Ouch! That's how I felt when I read this verse. I was like, oh my gosh, ouch! Ouch! The depth of this verse actually prompted me to once again search the deep corners of my heart to find out what's actually going on down there. In searching, I found some goodness and some bad in me. Yep. Amongst others, I found kindness, compassion, and love, but I've also found stubbornness. Mistrust, and unforgiveness. In reading this, I've also realized that I have some occasional wickedness and disobedience to God. Yes. Occasional wickedness and disobedience to God that I really need to work on. Most times, this disobedience stems from fear. Fear, guys. Fear that I won't have enough money tomorrow, or fear that I won't have enough tomorrow. So instead of giving more and extending myself, I actually try and preserve. This goes especially for money. Fear of losing control. Fear of being disappointed or taken for granted. Fear of losing financial security. This is why I preserve and don't necessarily give out more, even when I should. Fear of losing control, because sometimes I'm a control freak. But then at the same time asking God to take the wheel. But in my asking God to take the wheel, I actually do it with preconceived ideas of what I wish the outcome would be. Yes, I know. And also, there's like a whole lot of things I realized about myself that I am actually living in fear. Oh my God, why are you falling? Anyway, the other me would be like, oh my gosh, let me fix this. But I'm not going to fix it. It's fine. Let it fall. So all of this fear breeds anxiety. A whole lot of anxiety that weighs me down. It keeps me down. And yeah, a whole lot of things. Anyway, your list may be shorter than mine. In making your list, I urge you to ask yourself the following questions. How can I say I'm a child of God, but live with so much fear? How possible is that? How can I set my heart right with God? Ask yourself those questions. Well, if you don't have answers, the answers to these questions are laid out nicely in the Bible for us. our life manual. And the only way we can fully know and understand what God requires of us is if we spend time in the Word, reading it, memorizing the scriptures, applying them to our lives, and also being prayerful over the scriptures and also praying the scriptures over our lives. What's also very important in prayer and getting in tune with God is allowing Him to speak to us, being quiet, being still, being silent. This in itself is being obedient and compliant with what God has ordered for us. Surrendering to the cause of Jesus Christ, fixing our eyes on Him. Let's remember what's written in Jeremiah 17 verse 10. The Lord searches our human minds and tests our hearts. He treats each one of us according to the way we live and according to what we do. Unlike human beings, God pays no attention to outward appearances. He looks at the heart. This is what the Lord said when He sent Samuel to anoint David as a new king of Israel. Living in fear is in itself deception to the self. So why do we do this to ourselves? Why? Anyway, we're just human. We need to work on being fully obedient to God. Firstly, by surrendering all and fully placing our trust in Him for guidance and for provision. We need to allow the Holy Spirit to dwell deep in our hearts, to guide us, especially in situations when our human nature is so adamant that it needs to take over. Control this situation. Make sure that everything is perfect. Make sure that this video is perfect. We must consciously remind ourselves of those instances of Abraham's obedience to God and of God's ask and promises. You know what God is asking of us and His promises. For as long as we live, circumstances will always come to try and throw us off. But we should not let that, what we see with our naked eyes, push or pressure us into disobedience. We should remember the word in Colossians 3 verses 1 to 2, where it says, "You have been raised to life with Christ. So set your hearts on things that are in heaven, where Christ sits on His throne at the right hand of God. Keep your minds fixed on things there, not on things on the earth." As we journey along, may we ask God to keep our hearts in check and renew our minds daily. When we find ourselves in situations of high pressure, may we remember to be still and let God lead us. Let God lead the way. May we be discerning to His voice, and may the Holy Spirit dwell within us so that we may always respond to His call with obedience. May God give us new hearts. May God give us renewed spirits. May He remove any thorns and give us tender and responsive hearts. This week, let's invite God to come and dwell in our hearts. Like the apostle says in Proverbs 4 verse 23, above all else, guard your heart, because from it flows the springs of life. With that said, thank you for tuning into today's episode. I hope you have been encouraged by this week's message to get your heart in check. Don't forget to review, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends, your family, and your other networks. Until next time, have a good week and stay blessed. Mwah.